there, fellow Patriots. Welcome back to another episode of Patriots of the American Republic. A few months back ago, we touched on how Democrats use race as a political weapon, right, for their political agenda, right? They know that by utilizing the race card, they're given a huge advantage over their political rival. In that episode, we gave a very, very clear example of how everyone used to love Donald Trump when he was a Democrat, and I had never heard of any calls of him being a racist back then.
We'd have lost it. But you happy as a Democrat now that you got some leverage, that you could do it. And then you wonder where the fallout's going to be. I told him with Trump, let it go. What you trying to put him in jail for? They did everything they could to prevent him from being the president. Trump ain't going after these people, man, because of the election. He going after these people because they tried to get him to spend the rest of his life in fucking prison. He approaching 80 years old and you tried to throw him behind bars. He coming. He coming. Like, wait a minute. You motherfuckers smile in my face. You come into my casinos. You come into the hotel. Y'all all know we all sportsmen. We saw Trump at all sporting events. We were all cool with him. We weren't calling him racist then.
Fast forward to his criticism of then President Barack Obama, and then announcing he was running as a Republican candidate, and then the avalanche of racist labels came flooding through, right? Unfortunately, the left needs racism in order to hold on to power and, to be quite frank, to remain relevant. I think that without that race card, they would pretty much cease to exist. They can't win on policies that will improve the lives of all Americans, so they have to pander to every single different group that they can, except for one group, and that's the patriotic group. In this episode, we're going to take a look at how the left, though calling the right racist, are actually the racist ones themselves. Remember, they always accuse you of what they themselves are guilty of. So let's take a look into the first example that we have here. Now, do you recall the infamous interview on back then candidate Joe Biden with Breakfast Club host Charlemagne? I'm not going to repeat his entire name because no one's God other than God himself. But Breakfast Club host Charlemagne. Joe Biden accidentally confessed pretty much the strategy of the Democratic Party, right? And how they view minorities. In that video, he states, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, essentially, right? That's his statement. Let's get a fresh reminder of that video just so that you guys have it burned into your head as we go through the topics that we have. Let's take a look.
In an interview with the Breakfast Club co-host Charlemagne, the presidential hopeful made an egregious comment that has people questioning if he's worthy of their vote. Towards the end of the almost 20-minute interview, Charlemagne touched on an issue of great concern. Who will be Joe's running mate?
Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. They have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Charlemagne had a follow-up question, but got interrupted by someone off camera saying their time was up. The radio host instead invited Biden to come back, but Joe's response was off-putting.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The comment may have been directed just at Charlemagne, but it plays into the false notion that Democrats own the black vote and don't have to earn the black vote.
So as a black person, you can't think for yourself and weigh in on things intellectually. No, you have to vote based on your skin color. I mean, that seems very, very insulting in my opinion. Now, he's not the only one who plays this deceptive game, as Obama did essentially the same thing in last year's presidential campaign, where he attempted to manipulate and shame black men for not supporting Kamala Harris, instead leaning towards supporting Donald Trump, who's white, right? So Kamala Harris is black. Shame on you for not supporting her because you guys are black men, but you're gonna vote in support for the white man. Again, it's racial manipulation. Let's take a look.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for them. So now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Now, I can literally make multiple videos over the last several decades giving you example after example of this type of a tactic. The question is, why do they keep doing it when it's so obvious? Well, because it works, unfortunately. Historically speaking, blacks tend to vote Democrat over 95% of the time. If I'm not mistaken, Obama got 98% of the black vote when he ran for office. Now, those numbers have been declining far more than anyone expected ever since Trump came on the scene, but the number still remains pretty high nonetheless. The Democratic Party has to do everything it can to keep people in line in order to maintain their chokehold on the minority community, which is why their first default is to play the race card as often as they can and as quickly as they can, because, again, it's worked. But what happens when people of color start to analyze, use their brains versus their emotions, and realize what the Democrats are doing? This is where you see the Democrats' true colors begin to show. Over the last several years, we've had a number of conservatives who are black speak out passionately and boldly against the Democratic Party, right? And in favor of Republicans, and in favor more so of Donald Trump. People such as like Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, Byron Donalds, Ben Carson, Larry Elder are just a few examples of very popular and influential conservatives that don't hesitate in calling out the Democratic Party for their race hustling tactics, right? Now, you would think that the left would be supportive of these black voices, since they're always talking about promoting black and brown voices, lifting up black and brown voices. But it's actually the complete opposite. By their own account, these conservatives have spoken out about experiencing the most racist things they've ever been called by the supposedly super loving and tolerant left, right? In other words, you would expect them to get all the praise and support in the world from people who, again, want to lift up black and brown voices, and instead they've heard the opposite. The most racist things have been hurled at them by these tolerant, left-loving people, right? So I personally don't want to repeat some of the things that they've been called, because it's, in my eyes, it's disgusting to refer to human beings in that manner just because they have a different skin color, right? But, I'm sure most of you that are watching this channel are already familiar with those types of disgusting words, as I'm sure, you guys are finally attuned to the tactics of the left. But let's just take a reminder of the type of things that the left does. And the first example that I want to get into is when Larry Elder ran for governor of California not too long ago. This is what he experienced, not from the right, but from the so-called peace-loving, tolerant left. Let's take a look.
Touch me again. Don't touch her, motherfucker. Don't touch her, motherfucker. I'm popping him in the motherfucker name. I'll fuck you up, motherfucker. You grab her ass, motherfucker. You're the steppy boy.
So as you saw in that disgusting video, a woman dressed up in a gorilla mask throwing eggs at Larry Elder. I'm surprised she didn't throw a banana, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that to mock. What I'm saying is that based on that person's disgusting actions, I'm surprised that they did an egg instead of a banana, right? I honestly don't think it gets more disgusting than that. Again, from these leftists who are supposed to be uplifting black and brown voices. It's utter hypocrisy, Now, anytime anyone is seen liking or associating with President Trump, they automatically get outcasted. I reported not too long ago, Latin reggaeton artist Nicky Jam threw his hat in for President Trump back when he was a candidate last year, and immediately had several music venues canceled and was quickly labeled a racist by the Hispanic community. After a terribly placed joke during one of Trump's rallies in Madison Square Garden, Nicky Jam took back his endorsement, saving himself from any further public crucifixion, but nonetheless, damage was done, right? Now, just a few months ago, one of my favorite football players, former Giant running back Saquon Barkley, met with President Trump after his Super Bowl win with the Eagles. Saquon was immediately hit with backlash for going to the White House. Let's take a watch.
Over the weekend, the Eagles running back actually golfed with President Trump at his country club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Then Barkley flew here to D.C. with the president aboard Marine One. Barkley took some heat on social media about this, as you can imagine. He responded this morning with a tweet that essentially said this is not about politics, it's about respecting the office of the president. We are, of course, here to celebrate the Super Bowl championship team.
Saquon gave a public statement addressing the issue, and it was, a very reserved response, in my opinion. Someone as popular and as talented as Saquon, who is still active in the NFL, beat the cancel culture typhoon, but there was some very nasty things said by the super lovingly, leftists. Let's take a listen to some of the things that were said on social media regarding Saquon Barkley just for attending the White House and embracing President Donald Trump.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this.
Well, now we know Saquon will definitely be at the White House tomorrow. Here he is hanging out with Donald Trump a day before the Eagles make their official championship visit to the White House. When he was posted up with Ivanka Trump a couple weeks ago and I posted about it, a lot of you tried to tell me he was just being cordial. Nah, like I said, we know what he is. Like, going to the White House is one thing, which, don't get me wrong, still disgusting, but the fact that he's hanging out with him the day before, okay, we see you.
Saquon Barkley, I'm starting to notice, brother. Listen, Eagles will be, apparently from what I know, will be going to the White House Monday. That's tomorrow, right? Some players are going to be there, some players won't. But Saquon Barkley, you're taking it to the next level, brother. Chummying up with Psycho T over here. I will say this to Saquon Barkley, is that understand that a lot of people are going to feel how I feel. I actually got my Eagles shirt on right now. I just remembered. But which is, this isn't about, can't a guy just be conservative? Can he be a Republican? This isn't normal to a lot of people. This person, to a lot of people, is going to be on the wrong side of history. I'm one of those people.
You know what's funny about this whole situation? A lot of people are very upset with Saquon. I'm not upset. You know why I'm not upset? Because he's that type of bro. I don't expect Saquon's weird ass to be in our corner for anything, ever. When has he ever shown that he was that type? Y'all gotta remember, bro, he's with the white woman that said all the N-words and shit and took no accountability, ever. Listen, bro, in a world of Saquon Barkley's, be a Jalen Hurts. Just be a Jalen Hurts. It's not that hard. But when you come from where Saquon comes from, you can't expect him to take a social justice stance. He don't have that bone in him. I know y'all remember seeing them videos of Saquon where he was at Pitt State at the frat type parties. The only thing black about this is his skin. That's it.
I think that it's not just political. What Donald Trump has done and is doing to black history is unsavory and is undeniable. Donald Trump is deliberately trying to erase black people's history for whatever quest. He's elevating Christopher Columbus again. So he deliberately is doing things to black people that isn't just political. And any black man that does it is going to obviously catch some level of heat. When a black person does it, when it's a black person, I can always tell what kind of black person. I can always tell what they are.
Whoa, wait, what does that mean, Dia?
Saquon Barkley, he had a girlfriend that threw around the N-word a lot and said she wasn't a gold digger and she wasn't messing with no broke N-words. He looks like that kind of guy that is indifferent to what black people go through. It's just true. And I think I've noticed that to be consistent with a lot of black people who show up. They have a shoe booty affect to them. So to me, he seems like the type of guy who would do that and be indifferent to what's happening to black people.
Saquon wasn't the only one attacked, as people like Bill Maher, who also visited the White House, endured some backlash. Now, just recently, President Trump attended a Detroit Lions game, and one of the football players, a wide receiver named St. Brown, did the Trump dance in the end zone when they scored a touchdown, and the lunatics took to social media to pressure this man into issuing an apology for simply doing a dance and then pointing to Donald Trump, having fun with the moment, honoring the fact that the president had been there during a regular season game, which hadn't happened for quite some time, and wasn't meant to be political, but because he showed support for Donald Trump, the evil orange man. Sure enough, he gets the backlash. Let's take a look.
Over the weekend, Lions players, they did just that after scoring a touchdown.
Off on the slant to St. Brown. He is in for a Lions touchdown.
There it is.
Elephant in the room, after your touchdown. Nice play, by the way. Nice, drop step or cut up field slice, but you had a touchdown celebration. Talk about it.
Yeah, so first of all, if I offended anyone, I do apologize. I did not mean to offend anyone. It was just, we're having fun. If any president was at that game, if they had a dance, I would have done it. Had nothing to do with who the president was.
As you just finished watching and hearing, he did the dance, and then he had to issue an apology for the snowflake community. It's unbelievable. Now, in a most recent and surprising event, female rapper Nicki Minaj took to her social media platform and thanked President Trump for his acknowledgement regarding the genocide of Nigerian Christians that had recently been reported on. Now, due to this acknowledgement, Nicki was asked to team up with the Trump administration and speak at the UN regarding this specific matter. Let's take a listen.
US President Donald Trump has a surprising new supporter. Speaking at a roundtable organized by the US Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, superstar rapper Nicki Minaj said Christians were being persecuted in Nigeria, praising Donald Trump for his help in the region.
I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage in calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria.
Trump has accused authorities in Abuja of not doing enough to protect Christians against Islamist terrorists. The US president said he could stop aid to the country if the Nigerian government doesn't act, and even threatened potential US armed intervention.
Now, you would think, despite the left's hatred for Donald Trump, they would get behind this move because it's for the protection of life, but more importantly to them, it's the protection of black lives, right? Because they're so hyper-focused on race. To me, and to the right, it really doesn't matter. It's the protection of life, and more specifically, it's protection of Christians, right? But to them, it's all about black lives, right? Anyone remember that movement that caused billions of dollars in damage and took the lives of many innocent bystanders back in 2020? I believe the movement was called the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, you would think that this would be one cause they can rally behind. But, similar to the ignored black-on-black crimes that plague cities like Chicago, the BLM advocates are silent. Instead, they've managed to go after Nicki as she reportedly loses over 100,000 followers on her social media platform simply for associating with Donald Trump. Can it get any more TDS than this?
Sometimes standing up for what's right comes with a heavy price. And for Nicki Minaj, that price was immediate and visible. The superstar rapper, known for her bold personality and fearless voice, recently spoke out about the ongoing violence against Christians in Nigeria. And the backlash was swift. Nicki reportedly lost 100,000 Instagram followers almost overnight. But what caused such a dramatic fallout? It all started when Nicki used her global platform to highlight a crisis largely ignored by mainstream media. She detailed the brutal reality: churches burned, families torn apart, and thousands of innocent lives taken simply for practicing their faith. In her words, faith is under attack in way too many places. In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Her message didn't just stop at raising awareness. Nikki also gave credit to President Trump's efforts in addressing the violence, a move that added fuel to the fire of criticism from some corners of social media. Many followers reacted negatively, unfollowing her in droves.
Now, black conservatives aren't the only ones that get called vile racial slurs by the left, as I can speak from my personal experience in this manner. I've had several other Hispanics since 2001 make a lot of racial derogatory remarks towards me specifically for being Republican, for being conservative, for being pro-American, for being pro-Trump. I mean, if you're a Hispanic Trump supporter, these people will call you, things like bootlicker, sellout, fake Hispanic, and essentially label you as a traitor. One previous reporter stated that Hispanics who supported Donald Trump were like roaches who supported Raid, meaning it's self-defeating, right? Because Raid is a poison towards roaches, and to support Donald Trump would be, self-defeating, right? And it's a very stupid remark that was made by this individual. But that's exactly how the left sees us. Our friend Adam Francisco is constantly being told that he will get deported. They look at him, looking at his very Mexican features and having brown skin, they automatically assume that he's an illegal immigrant, or simply because he's just not white, that they're going to deport him. Let's check it out.
Did you say I was going to get deported any day?
You could.
Why? She said that. Why'd you say that, though?
I don't talk to racists.
How?
I don't talk to racists.
You just looked at me.
Your podcast sucks.
You're calling me a racist?
No.
But you looked at me and said I might get deported?
You might.
You're judging me by the color of my skin, assuming my status?
Bye-bye.
You're assuming my legal status?
Your podcast sucks.
I'm more American than you'll ever be.
Okay.
Yeah.
You better hope your president doesn't deport you.
I'm a friend with the Donald Trump administration. Why would they deport me?
There you go.
Why would they deport me? I'm legal.
There you go.
I'm a legal American citizen.
That says it all right there.
I'm a legal American citizen. Why would I be deported?
Get out of my space, dipshit.
It's public space. I'm allowed to stand here.
Not by me.
Yeah, sure I can. Peacefully.
So as soon as they find out people like us are Trump supporters, suddenly they aren't so tolerant or uplifting towards brown and black voices. This is the core of the so-called leftist liberal. They pretend to champion for minorities, but it really has nothing to actually do with minorities. If it was about minorities, they would treat us all the same, despite our views, and they obviously don't. So what's this really all about? It's about political power. Democrats know that minorities vote over 70% for them, and that is why they open the borders and let in millions. They want to change the demographic as much as possible for the present, but most definitely for the next generations. And it's a strategy that honestly has been working for them for quite some time. It's really astounding that we have 50% of the American population that aligns itself with the left, and a large portion of that does come from the minority base. It's undeniable. I mean, if I had to take a 70-30 split on something, I absolutely would take it, right? That's it for today's video. Hope it was informative, and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Until the next episode, take care, and God bless America, and God bless you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.